Do you know that 40% of men and 39% of women are going to be diagnosed of cancer in their lifetime? Yes, it is rather unfortunate, but that is the truth. The other thing is that 40% of all cancers, prostate cancer, breast cancer, colon cancer, skin cancer, stomach cancer, cervical cancer, all these cancers and the other ones you can think of are preventable, which is a good news. Cancer formation is mainly about bad gene formation and some bad practices, you understand? But what can we do about these two things? For genetic makeup, I mean, nothing can be done about that. But then we can be able to influence how our genes behave. And one effective way we can be able to achieve that and to reduce our risk of cancer is by what we eat or what we feed on. Very, very important. Even the ones we think are healthy for our consumption, you may be surprised that those ones we even think are healthy can slowly contribute to cancer development. That is very true. My name is Sunday Elavanyo, a senior licensed medical laboratory specialist and a diagnostic medical sonographer. In today's video, I am going to walk you through the science behind why certain food and toxins can feed cancer cells or increase your risk of developing cancer. And I am also going to list some foods you can eat in order to reduce your risk of getting cancer or fight your cancer cells. Let's dive straight into it. What are cancer cells? Cancer cells are formed when normal cells become abnormal. And this happens when there is an overgrowth of cells, when mutations are left unchecked or are left uncontrolled, and this can lead to cancer or tumor development. When tumor or cancer is formed, initially, they are localized. They are in one position. That is to say that if it is prostate cancer, then that cancer is still in the prostate gland. If it is a breast cancer, then that cancer is still in the breast tissue. They have not spread. At that initial stage, treatment becomes easy. But as soon as cancer cells become very aggressive and start multiplying and spreading to other parts of your body, it becomes a bit difficult to treat. And it is at this stage that mortality rate becomes high. But for cancer cells to be able to multiply, grow, and spread to other parts of your bodies, they need certain things to be in place. Certain condition has to be in place to create that conducive environment for them to be able to multiply and spread to other parts of your body. So let's look at some of these conditions that will create conducive environment for cancer cells to grow rapidly, multiply, and spread to other parts of your body. Of course, number one thing is sugar, specifically glucose, because that is the sugar we can find in our blood. So glucose and sugar is the primary source of energy to cancer cells, and of course they need energy in order to grow and spread. So they feed on sugar. So if sugar is there, they can be able to grow and multiply. Another thing that needs to be in place is hormone. So we are looking at insulin and IGF-1 hormone. These hormones serve as messengers. They relay or send information to the cancer cells. As we go along, you will understand better the function of these hormones. Okay. The next thing they also need is inflammation. Very, very, very important. Inflammation will come in and then come and suppress the immune system, make it weak, so that the cancer cells can be able to attack. Why? Because our immune systems are our first line of defense against foreign materials. As soon as foreign materials enter your body, your immune system will attack and destroy them. What did the Bible say about a strong man's house? The Bible says that, can a man enter into a strong man's house and do away with possessions? No. And that can only be possible when you bind the strong man of the house. Then you can be able to have the liberty to take away anything you like. The same thing happens to our body. Our immune system is our strong man. Our immune system is our bodyguard. So with cancer cells, if inflammation is there, the inflammation is going to bind the immune system. You understand? And then the cancer cell can now form ogborobosu, and they will start dominating and start gallivanting in your body and attacking other parts of your body. So inflammation is also a thing that has to be in place. The next one is blood supply. Very important. They need blood supply, and they also need nutrient supply. And they are able to achieve this through a process known as angiogenesis. And angiogenesis is a natural process by which our bodies are able to make blood vessels from existing one. And cancer cells are able to make their own blood vessels. They supply them with blood and what? Nutrients. You understand? So if these things are in place, then cancer cells can be able to multiply, grow, and spread to other parts of our bodies. You understand? You know, the interesting thing is that what we eat will either go and support these things, conditions, and create conducive environment for the cancer cells to grow and spread. And if that happens, you know, then you are feeding the cancer cells. At the other hand, what you eat will also come and deprive the cancer cells of these conditions, and therefore not creating a conducive environment for the cancer cells to grow, multiply, and spread. And by so doing, you are fighting your cancer cell, or you are reducing your risk of developing cancer. Okay? But unfortunately, all the food we eat, they all go and support these conditions. But don't worry, just relax. We can actually divert or turn these to our advantage by being selective of the kind of food that we eat. You understand? So let's go straight to some of the foods and causes that can feed cancer cells. Number one is sugar. So we are looking at processed carbohydrate and sugars. Processed carbohydrate like white bread. We are looking at cake. We are looking at meat pie. We are looking at pizza. We are looking at white rice. We are looking at candies. We are looking at soda like Fanta, Coca-Cola, malt. You understand? These processed carbohydrates are high in sugar and they have high glycemic index. This is what happens. Let's assume that this is Coca-Cola. You drink Coca-Cola, okay? Or you take bread, especially Coca-Cola. Almost immediately, your blood sugar will spike up. And then your body will sense high blood sugar or blood glucose. And therefore, insulin will be released to go and stabilize your blood sugar. So insulin will go and push some of the sugar or the glucose to your muscles to be, metabolized or burned to produce energy. Some will go to the liver and will be stored as glycogen so that the blood sugar or the blood glucose can be normal. But when sugar is in excess, insulin will be produced in excess. And when insulin is produced in excess, insulin will go and send information to the cancer cells that, hey, my friend, we have excess food around and we don't want the food to go waste. Come and let's, celebrate. And then the cancer cells will come. They will come and party. They will eat, feed, and grow big and become fresh and have the energy to now start moving to places they were not able to go. They will start moving, spreading to other places. So this is how sugar can feed cancer cells. Okay? And one thing you should also note is that when sugar is high and continue being high for some time, it can lead to what we call chronic inflammation. And when chronic inflammation sets in, two things are going to happen. More DNAs will be damaged and your immune system will become more weaker. And when more DNA becomes damaged, then it will be easier for cancer cells to form. And when your immune system becomes weaker, then you have poor immune defense system and your cancer cells will spread. Are you getting the scenario? The number two food that can feed cancer cells or increase your risk of developing cancer is processed meats and red meat. So processed meat like sausage, hot dog, salami, like canned beef. We are looking at red meat like pork, beef, goat meat, ham. We are looking at, lamb. You understand? All these foods have the potential of feeding your cancer cell or increasing your risk of developing cancer. This is because processed foods contains nitrite, and this nitrite is there to preserve the food and prevent it from bacteria growth. It also adds flavor to the processed foods. But when you eat this processed food containing nitrite, when it goes into your stomach, because of the acidic nature of your stomach, this nitrite is going to be converted to nitrosamine, specifically N-nitrosodimethylamine. And this N-nitrosodimethylamine is a carcinogen, and it can feed your cancer cell or increase your risk of getting cancer. Another thing about meat is not about the meat itself, but it is about how you cook the meat. Some methods of cooking meat can also add carcinogens to the meat, like grilling and frying. During grilling, your meat can be coated with carcinogens. You know, when you are grilling the meat and the oil drip into the fire, it will flame up and produce smoke. These smokes at the end of the day are going to deposit on the meat or under the meat and coat them. This smoke contains a carcinogen known as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and these carcinogens are going to settle on your meat and under your meat. They will coat the meat, you understand? And at the end of the day, you are going to feed on these carcinogens into your body. Another way carcinogen can form also during grilling and frying is when you are grilling meat under high temperature or frying meat under high temperature. Protein containing amino acid in this meat can be converted to another carcinogens known as heterocyclic amines. These are also another carcinogens that can form during grilling under high temperatures and during frying under high temperature. I am not saying you should stop eating grilled meat. Myself, I love grilled meat because you see that smoke which contains that carcinogens add some kind of special flavor, and taste to grilled meat. But there are certain tips or steps you can take in order to reduce the amount of these carcinogens that can deposit on your meat during grilling. One first thing you have to do is that make sure after grilling your first set of meat, clean all those black coated deposits on the grill. Clean them well, take them off, before you put the next set of meat and grill them. If you don't do that, and you put the meat on the grill, what you are doing is that that's coated, carcinogen is going to, at the end of the day, deposit on your meat again. You understand? And you eat it. So make sure you clean it very well. And the next thing you can also do is that after grilling the meat, make sure you clean the coated carcinogens from your meats. At least you'll be able to reduce the amount of the carcinogens on your grilled meat. Another thing you can also do is that make sure you marinate your meat before you grill them. Marinating your food is by putting the meat into a flavored liquid, mostly made from tropical fruits like pineapple, and you freeze it overnight or for some hours so that this marinade can enter, fuse into your meat, and you grill it. It is able to neutralize this carcinogen, and it's also add flavor to your meat. Another thing you can do is that when you are grilling your meat, do not stand at the station by the grill. You put your meat on the grill, move back, stand somewhere and monitor. When it is time for you to come and turn the meat, come and turn and go back. But when you put on your apron and you stand by the station, and stand by the station or by the fire whilst you are grilling your meat, all these smokes are coming directly into your face, and you end up inhaling most of them. You inhale them, and at the end of the day, you are also going to feed on that meat. So you end up increasing the amount of carcinogen in your body. And the final thing you can do is not to eat this meat often. Eh? Once a while, you eat them. Don't not it shouldn't become a habit. You understand? All right. Let's look at the next food or toxins that can feed cancer cells. And naturally occurring toxins, carcinogens, of course, known as aflatoxins. Aflatoxins are typically produced by certain moles on grains, nuts, and kernels. You understand? These moles can form on the grain, even in the farmland during harvest, during the processing or preservation period. These moles can form, which can produce these aflatoxins. Okay, so we are looking at nuts like peanuts, we are looking at granules, we are looking at almonds, we are looking at walnut, we are looking at cashew nut. These nuts can be contaminated with these aflatoxins, and when you eat them, you can increase your risk of developing cancer, or you can be feeding your cancer cells. So are we to stop eating these nuts? No, we are not saying stop eating them, but before you will buy and consume nut, being it granite, being it peanut, being it almonds, make sure that you know where the granite is coming from. Aflatoxins are common in Africa because our warm environment supports mold formation. So it's very common in Africa. So be careful where your nuts are coming from. That is one thing you can do to reduce the risk of, taking in these aflatoxins. Another thing you can also do is that make sure you inspect your nuts to see if there is any discolored area or your nut have shriveled. When there is a discolored area or the nut has shriveled, that is a sign that the nut is more contaminated. So you should avoid such nuts. You understand? Another thing you can do to reduce aflatoxins, is to also make sure when you buy this nut, consume them as early as possible. Don't leave them for a long period of time, like months too. No, consume them as early as possible. You understand? And also check for the expiring date for the nuts you are buying. Another way this aflatoxin can land in our system is through milk or dairy products. When cow go to field, they can feed on food that are contaminated with these aflatoxins, and it is going to end up separated together with their milk. You understand? And at the end of the day, when you buy such milk, especially the raw milk that are taken straight from from the farm, when you take such milk, you are likely to also take in aflatoxins. Alcohol. Alcohol has been proven by the International Association for Research on Cancer since 1987, way back. Alcohol was categorized as a group 1 carcinogen because they found sufficient evidence it can cause, cancer of the pharynx, cancer of the larynx, cancer of your throat, and other studies show that it can even cause cancer of the breast and cancer of the colon. So when you take alcohol, you are taking in carcinogens. Alcohol, when it gets into your body, it is then metabolized by your liver into acetaldehyde, which is a carcinogen. And this acetaldehyde will cause more damage to your DNA, and it also interfere with DNA repair. Another thing alcohol can do in your body is that it will lead to vitamin deficiency like vitamin B12 or thiamine. And these vitamin B12 or thiamine are very critical for healthy mitochondrial function. So if you are taking alcohol, then you are depriving yourself of this vitamin. Another thing alcohol can do is that alcohol can also act as a solvent for other carcinogens to dissolve and be absorbed into your body. So these foods and toxins can feed your cancer cells. So what can we do if you don't want to, feed your cancer cells or increase your risk of getting cancer? Make sure instead of going for processed carbohydrate and sugars that are high in glycemic index, go for foods that are high in fiber and of low glycemic index. So you go for beans, limit the intake of processed carbohydrate and what sugars.